All right, so for chapter 4, we're going to look at comparing fractions, decimals, and percentages. So first of all, let's just remind ourselves about fractions, decimals, and percents. Okay, and so first of all, we're just going to learn by doing examples. So we know percentages are always out of 100. So let's say I have 76%. Okay, actually let's say 75%, just to keep it with numbers that we know. 75%, okay, I got a test, I got 75%. There are multiple fractions, right, or multiple marks that could get you 75%. So let's work on going from percentage to decimal into fraction. Okay, so when I'm going from a percentage to a decimal, what I'm actually doing is I'm dividing 75 by 100. So that's what happens when you put it into your calculator, you end up getting the decimal value. If I divide 75 by 100, I get 0.75. Now, if you notice, if I didn't have a calculator, didn't want to do that, if you notice that decimal point that's at the end of a whole number, right? Whole numbers always have a decimal at the end. It bounced once, twice, and it ended up here, okay, right in front of the 7. So another way of doing it, and figuring out, another way of figuring out how to get from percentage to a decimal is you move the decimal 2 spots to the left, okay, and that'll also put it into decimal form. Now, when I'm going from a percentage to a fraction, the best thing about it is percentages are always out of 100, so I'm going to make my denominator 100, okay? So 100 pieces, they're always out of 100. If I had a grid with 100 pieces, it would be 75 out of 100 pieces. Now, we want to be very careful here, though. 75 out of 100 pieces is not my final answer, okay? If there was 100 questions on the test, to get 75%, I would get 75 of them right. But there's also tests that have less marks, okay? And we want to figure out how to get 75% with the least amount of questions. And so we're going to divide the top and bottom by the same number, okay? And they has to give us a whole number. So if I tried to divide 75 by 2, for example, that's going to give me a decimal number. So that wouldn't work. So I can't divide it by 2. But I can divide top and bottom by 5 here. So when I divide 75 by 5, I'm going to get 15. And when I divide 100 by 5, I'm going to get 20. Now, if you notice, 15 over 20, we can actually simplify or reduce that even more. We can divide top and bottom by 5 again. I get 3 over 4. That would be my final answer because I can't divide top or bottom by the same number anymore. So all of these, 3 over 4, 15 over 20, 75 over 100, they're going to give me the same percentage. Okay, if there was 4 questions on the test, I'd get 3 of them right, I get 75%. If there was 20 questions on a test, I get 15 of them right, I get 75%. We just want to go as low as we possibly can when we are putting our fraction into final form. Okay, then let's do another example. Okay, and this time let's start with the decimal value. So let's start with 0.23. Okay, and let's go to the percent and to the fraction. So if I'm going from a decimal to a percentage, I'm doing the opposite. If I divided by 100 to go from percent to decimal, I'm going to multiply by 100 to go to a percentage, which is going to give me 23%. Or I'm going to do the opposite. Instead of going 2 to the left, I'm going to go 2 decimals to the right. 1, 2. That would give me 23. So that works as well. And then to go to a fraction, okay, I'm going to write whatever this number is after the decimal. It's going to be 23 over 100. All right, and if you notice, you can go from a percent to a fraction as well, right? Percents are always going to be out of 100. So this is 23 out of 100. Makes it nice and easy for me to convert between percents and fractions. And now I can't divide the top or the bottom by the same number. So this is my final fraction. Okay, so I'm finished here. And then my final question here, let's start with a fraction form. So let's start with 2 over 3. To convert it into a decimal, what you're going to do is you're going to go 2 divided by 3, and that's going to give you the decimal value of 0.66 repeating, okay? Now, when we divide fractions, we're going to find that some of our decimals go on for infinity, right? They're going to continue forever. When that happens, okay, if it's going to be 6 repeated a bunch of times, we put this little hat over top of the 6 to represent the fact that it's being repeated. Okay, so it'd be 0.6 repeated. Then, from there, we are going to go to the percentage form. And now it's pretty easy to go from a fraction to a percentage because we know we just multiply the decimal by 100. And so we get 66, percent. But remember, it's continuing, so it's 66.66 repeating percent. Okay, so that 6 is going to repeat here, so we want to make sure we put that hat over top, okay, because our percentage value can only have 2 possible places. We got tens and ones, and then everything after that is going to go into the tenths and the hundredths spot. Okay, another way you could do this, guys, is to make 2 over 3 out of 100. And then that'll be easy to come up with the decimal and the percentage from there. And for those of you that don't know, there's a little trick to solve these unknowns. We're going to start, if this is our question mark, we're going to start at the number opposite to it here. So it's 100. We're going to start there. We're going to go diagonally and we're going to multiply. So 100 times 2 is 200. And then we're going to go down. We're going to divide. So 200 divided by 3 is going to give us 66.6 repeating. Okay, 66.6 repeating. Now, what that means now is whatever this top number is here, that's our percentage. And if you notice, it does match 66.6 repeating. Okay, and then we can go to the decimal from there. So if you were asked to order your line, let's say you have 3 over 4, 0.25, and 60% from lowest to highest, you need to put them all into the same form first. And that's why we need to know how to convert between them. Okay, so why don't we put them all into decimal form? Because that's probably going to be the easiest. So I'm going to go 3 divided by 4. That's going to give me 0.75. 0.25 is already a decimal, and 60%, we know we got to divide that by 100, okay? Or we move that decimal point once, twice, and we get 0.60. And now we can order them from lowest to highest, okay? So if you think of it as money, this is 25 cents, this is 60 cents, and this is 75 cents. Which is the lowest amount of money? Well, 0.25 is the lowest amount of money. Then the next one would be 60 cents. So 60% would be next in order. And then it'd be 75 cents or 3/4. And that would be ordered from lowest to highest.